All right. Never imagined that I'll actually say this one day, but we had a crazy Russian Grand Prix with or even without the rain. This is definitely going to be a race that we talk about for a very, very long time. And I personally love such sort of races because it's very challenging to find stats at times, but these sort of races usually come up with a very interesting bunch of stats. So let's do the stats review of that crazy Russian Grand Prix. Let's get the main ones out of the way. Lewis Hamilton becomes the first driver to take 100 race wins in Formula One, the only one to reach the triple figure mark. Now, these you seldom see a car, a driver, or a team dominating a sport for so long, and we don't really know if this record is going to be ever broken. But eventually, if it does, that's going to be a sight to see if it ever happens. Mercedes have taken their eighth consecutive victory at Sochi, which was already a record last year, but that streak continues to go on. And next year it's going to be the last race at Sochi before they move to the next venue at St. Petersburg. So yes, Mercedes continue to have that record for the longest winning streak at a particular circuit. I mentioned about milestone races in the stats preview. I mentioned that all the milestone races in the hybrid era, the 900th race, the 950th race, and the 1000th Formula One race have all been won by Mercedes. Well, the 1050th race also goes to Mercedes, and they are a team that particularly like Sochi. They like milestones. So let's see how many more they can actually take before someone else goes ahead and becomes a dominant force in the sport. All right. Lewis Hamilton becomes the first driver to enter the 4,000 points mark in Formula One. Now, you will argue that the point system has changed over the years, and this isn't really a fair statistic or an accurate one. But what we did is we corrected all the points that any driver has ever taken in Formula One, and we corrected it to the 2021 point system, and still Lewis Hamilton leads by a very big margin. So he would have been on 4,413.5 points if we corrected it to the 2021 point system, and coming close in second would be Michael Schumacher with 3,961 points. Uh, Over the years, obviously, the cars have become a lot more reliable. Cars back then had a lot more retirements, which is true, which also affects the number of points that drivers would collect over their career. So Lewis Hamilton has had just 27 retirements in his career, while Michael Schumacher, who is in second, has had 68. That also is something, a factor when calculating all these points. Lewis Hamilton has 5 wins in 2021, but the interesting thing that is the number of laps that he's led in those 5 races. So let's do it. In Bahrain, he led 27 of 56 laps. In Portugal, he led 34 of 66 laps. In Spain, 12 of 66 laps. In Great Britain, 3 of 52 laps. And today in Russia, 3 of 53 laps. So, except for Spain, none of the other wins this year have come from pole. So, it goes to show that he's really, really having to work hard whenever he has to take a race victory. And in all these races, he's barely led 50% of the laps. And for example, in Russia and Britain, he's just led 3 laps, the last 3 laps of the race, which goes to say so much about the driver that Lewis Hamilton actually is. Like I mentioned earlier in the stats preview, pole isn't the best place to start at the Russian Grand Prix. Lando Norris almost clinched it. I have to say, he almost clinched it if it wasn't for the rain, because that really ruined his chances uh, of becoming the first pole sitter since Nico Rosberg in 2016 to win the Russian Grand Prix. So that unfortunate streak still continues, and Lewis Hamilton won the race today, starting fourth, and he becomes the only driver to win the Russian Grand Prix after starting lower than third on the grid. And the last one is George Russell scores points once again. He scored points for the fourth time in the last 5 races, but something that I've been keeping something that I've been keeping for the end is that George Russell has scored 16 points in the last 5 races, the exact same number of points that Sergio Perez has as well in the last 5 races, driving a Red Bull, a championship contender car. And it's very astonishing the slump he's had ever since that Azerbaijan Grand Prix, ever since his French Grand Prix where he was on the podium. Ever since then, he's had a slump in form in terms of race finishes and in terms of points. So he really has to get it, get up and start scoring more points if Red Bull really want to win the constructors' title. So yes, that was the stats review of the Russian Grand Prix. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Baffles me, this guy seriously does. Again, it's just F1 stats guru. It's in the name. You know why he's called himself just that. And there's a reason why everyone is also calling him just that.